We here in Salem have been working really hard to try and cut down on the number of visitors that are in our community. That is not ordinarily what we do in October, but this is certainly no normal October. We wanted to share with you some additional steps and actions we'll be taking today to try and address some of the congestion that we're seeing. There's no doubt that our visitation in October has been reduced. We are seeing less people than we typically see. The problem is we're still seeing more people than we'd like, especially given the fact that so many businesses, attractions, restaurants, the things that are allowed to be open during this current phase 3 in Massachusetts have reduced occupancies. And as a result of that, we're seeing our businesses heeding those occupancies. That's typically a good thing, but it is creating congestion and lines outside of businesses where we see people waiting for long periods of time and not being able to maintain this physical distancing. That's our biggest concern when we think about trying to reduce risk and address COVID both within our community, keep residents safe, keep our employees safe, and certainly keep visitors safe. Despite efforts, including things like mandatory mask zones, not moving up to phase 3, step 2, that would have increased occupancies, not including increasing table limitations from 6 to 10, really trying to send the message to individuals, this is not the year to come to Salem. It's not going to be a banner year for visits given all the things that we've canceled. We announced cancellations back in August of every large-scale activity in October. Given the current restrictions, there are no balls, there are no costumed parties, there are no parades, there are none of the typical activities that happen in October. And those of you who've been here know that October for Salem is not just one event. It's not about one concert or one activity. It's an array of activities that take place throughout the month, and people typically have come and enjoyed it. This is not the year to do that with all of those things being canceled. Despite all of that advice, we're still seeing, as I said, more people than we'd like, and that can fit in some of our congested areas. Going forward in October, we are planning some additional restrictions that you'll see put in place this weekend. They include limiting access to the Essex Street Pedestrian Mall. That's sort of the spine and center part of the central business district where most visitors tend to land. We will eliminate one entrance point on the west end near the Peabody Essex Museum. We'll be installing barricades along the Essex Street Pedestrian Mall, another way to limit access and queuing of lines to try and address the congestion that we're seeing in those areas. And we are once again advising restaurants, shops, retailers, attractions who have not yet put in place advanced reservations or ticketing systems to do so. And I do want to recognize that many members of our small business community and our cultural institutions have really worked hard to try and comply with COVID. There are many places that are doing advanced ticketing and reservations, and they're selling out by 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning. We have had shop owners who have really pivoted. Most of our business community are small mom and pops, independent operators who have really worked hard in partnership with the city to have the proper PPE, to address the proper staffing, to limit their occupancies, to do everything that they could to comply in a way that would allow them to just operate. They were hit hard this spring like we all were. Knowing all of that, we still can't allow the sorts of crowds that are gathering here to continue, and we need to work in partnership with both our business community and our visitors and our public safety officials to deter that type of activity. Salem will be here after October. We're advising anybody who's thinking about coming to our community to put it off until after October, to think about coming next October. If you have reservations or advanced ticketing, that will help, but it will still not be the same experience that you might expect in October in Salem. We will have additional announcements pertaining to Halloween. If you've been here on Halloween night, you know it's typically sort of a street party. This year, Halloween is on a Saturday. It is a full moon. It is daylight savings day. It is the 5th weekend in October. Obviously, before COVID, we were expecting to have a banner year and a banner day on Halloween. None of that can happen. There are no bands, there are no DJs, there are no fireworks. There's not the typical array of activities you would see on Halloween, and we really need to curtail that activity. So you will see reduced shutdowns in terms of early shutdowns, closures of parking, curtailment of trains. We'll have more to say about that. A lot of internal and external partners involved in that effort, both public safety and public health officials, and we'll have further announcements on that. But from now until Halloween, we are reducing activities on the Essex Street Pedestrian Mall, putting up barricades to limit queuing of lines, and doing all that we can to reduce the congestion and eliminate the risk of the transmission. I want to say just a quick word on COVID. Salem right now is currently a yellow community. Our numbers are at 7.0. That's this latest number coming out. That's 7.0 in the last 14 days per 100,000 persons. We have seen slight upticks in our case counts over the last, I'd say, several weeks. So far, that trend has not been tied to visitors. It's been due to other instances that are happening either in or around our community. That does not mean that will not be the case, and that's one of the reasons we want to really work in partnership with visitors and our business owners to reduce congestion. We have worked so hard as a community to put us in a position to be at lower risk. We have a 1.2% positivity rate. We're having thousands of tests in partnership with the governor. The Stop the Spread effort is here. We have tests 6 days a week at one location, 5 days a week at an added location for October, right downtown, targeting our hospitality workers, our tourism workers, anybody on the front line. We're encouraging folks to get tested on a weekly basis. We're working so hard at that. We don't want to see October happen and then as a result of that have a risk or a spike of COVID in our community. So we are, once again, telling folks, please, if you're thinking about coming to Salem, this is not the year to do so for October. Put it off for next October or put it off until after October 31st.